Good morning everybody, how are you all today? I hope you're well. We're in the kitchen, yay, gonna do a spot of cooking. Now it's first thing in the morning, it's really early and I'm cooking my supper already because at this time in the day it's actually a little bit cooler. The weather we've been having recently, my little home here by the afternoon is so hot because I live in the roof. It's a south facing flat, I'm in the roof. I roast here, I'm regularly getting up into the mid-30s by 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And when it's that temperature, the last thing I want to be doing is working over a hot stove. But also because most evenings now I'm having to go to the garden to give my plants a wee bit of a drink, and it takes up a chunk of time. And generally I'm getting home from doing that about sort of 8, 9 in the evening, and the last thing I want to do at 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening in my roasty hot flat is start cooking. But I'm always hungry when I come back from the garden, so it's nice to crack on with something in the morning and have it ready for tonight when I get back from my latest stint of watering. Now I did make this a couple of weeks ago and film it to share with you all, but that's when things started going really wrong with not just my computer, but the computer I borrowed from a friend, and I lost all the footage. So as promised in a couple of videos back, I'm making it again, and fingers crossed I won't lose the footage and I'll be able to share this with you. Now you're probably going to think it's quite a wintry dish, so if you like the look of it, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you won't have this produce stored anymore, but if you like the look of it, you can always bookmark it for the autumn and the winter. Personally, I don't mind what I eat any time of the year, and one of the reasons I thought I'd share this with you is because I've been asked loads of times recently, sort of ever since sort of April really, people are saying to me, but what are you eating? What on earth are you eating? So as we all know, all those gorgeous winter greens, the last of the carrots that were in the ground, the parsnips last year, by about March into the beginning of April, almost everything has come out of the garden, all the winter stuff. And of course, the summer stuff doesn't really start coming until now. So there is that hungry gap of sort of April, May, June, and that's when I rely massively on my stored produce. So that's what we're going to cook with today. It's a squash and chickpea curry. It could not be more simple. It's really yummy. It's nutritious. It's all, actually, apart from the onions, which I'll explain when we look at the ingredients, it's all from stored produce. Fabulosa! Yay! So, let's have a look, shall we? Let's have a look at the ingredients. It really is very simple. So, lovely butternut here. This is the star of the show. It's not a huge one. I have got a couple more left after this, one of which is really big, but I'm going to save that for the weekend because I've got some friends coming over for the World Cup final, the football. So I'll cook something from that to share amongst probably about 6 of us. So this one, like I say, it's quite small, but this whole lot here will do 2 or 3 portions, which is great for supper tonight. And actually it works, I quite like it cold as well the next day. So this is something I sometimes take to the shed with me. So you want 1 winter squash, whatever size it is, depends on how much you're going to get out of it and how many portions it's going to do for you. I've got a couple of onions here. I've got 2 because they're quite tiddly. Red onions. I like red onions in this because of the colour. Now these are this year's harvest. I've just had them out of the ground because my other onions finished about, I think it was about 2-3 weeks ago, about mid-June, my other white onions finished. Red onions generally don't store as well as the whites, so with my red onions I've generally used them up by about Christmas or just into January. But as I say, the white ones see me through until about the end of May, beginning of June, and that's fine because then the next crop is ready to come out. or to be picked to use as and when. I've got tomatoes here. Oh, sorry, my little knee gave in. This is the equivalent of a tin of tomatoes if you're wanting to have in terms of measurements, but these were in the freezer, so whenever I freeze or bottle, they're all done in the equivalent of what would be one tin size, which is, I think it's about 400 grams, isn't it? It's about, if you were using cup system, it's about 2 cups worth. Likewise, a couple of cups of chickpeas. So if you're going to do this recipe, you need to remember the night before to soak your chickpeas to give them a boil in the morning. What I like to do when I'm doing any of my chickpeas or beans that I've used dry or stored dry, because it is a bit of a faff the following morning to boil them, I generally do, I think about 2 or 3 different recipes to use them in. So I'll have a big boil up in the morning and use it for 2 or 3 different things. So I've actually got way more than I need set aside, because I will also make a sort of chickpea and bean salad type thing for myself. So that's your 4 main ingredients, your 4 veggies. Then I've got, about the equivalent of a couple of 100 mils of stock, and then the spices I want to use. So I'm having coriander, paprika, cumin and turmeric. But this is it's going to be a curry, so whatever your curry spices of preference are, use them. You can get ready prepared mixes of various curry spices depending on your palate, whether you like your curry to blow the roof of your mouth off or whether you like it mild. I like things very, very mild. I love the spices, I love the flavours of the spices, but I don't want to blow my head off. So let's get on with starting to chop that butternut. Okay, so first things first, I've chunked up the butternut just into sort of little bite-sized pieces. See how that wasn't a huge amount in that one butternut, but like I said, with the addition of the chickpeas, this will hopefully do about 2 or 3 portions for me. So in go the butternuts, into a little bit of oil in the bottom there, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to let those sit in the oil like that for 4 or 5 minutes, just to start to get them browned off a little bit. Speaking of this and the chickpeas being enough for maybe 2 or 3 portions, I was thinking actually this time of year you could start to add a few of the summer veg in as well. So for example, a couple of days ago an allotment neighbour friend gave me a handful of courgettes, so actually I think they'd work great in here as well. I'm not going to add them in today because I've already eaten them. Yum yum yum. Okay, so let's leave that for 3 or 4 minutes just to start browning up a little bit. Once that's had 3 or 4 minutes, it's time to add the onions. Again, just quite finely chopped. And then you get a little bit with every single mouthful. Yum, 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 yum. Plus, let's get hold of the spices. With the squash, you could, of course, use roasted squash. That would be really, really, really luxurious. But I'm not going to put the oven on unnecessarily. A, because it's too hot to have the oven on, and B, because to me that would be a total waste of the fuel just to put an oven on to make this curry then. But if you happen to have the oven on for maybe your Sunday roast, stick a squash in there to roast to make a curry later on. Okay, so spices in. Generous coriander. Love that smell. Paprika. Yum, yum, yum. Cumin. Oh, I really love the cumin. I'm going to have 2 teaspoons of the cumin because I love it. And finally the turmeric. Fantastic anti-inflammatory properties. I put a teaspoon of turmeric in with my honey and lemon in the morning. Yum, yum, yum. Give it all a nice little mix around. This is the bit I love, absolutely love whenever I'm cooking with spices. is that moment the heat starts to release those gorgeous, is it volatile oils it's called, I think? But you get that, oh my goodness, that's just made my saliva glands burst. So just give that another, just sort of 2 or 3 minutes, let that heat start to work those oils in the spices, and then we'll add our next ingredients. A couple of minutes later, oh my giddy goodness, oh that's just heavenly. Okay, so let's now add the tomatoes. Like I said, that's about a tin of tomatoes, and about a cup, which is about 200 mils of stock. I'm just going to do it via the tomato bowl to pick up some of that last bit of tomato. In it goes. Give it a little bit of a stir around. And now it's just going to sit for 20 minutes, simmering away, basically until the squash is the right kind of bite that you like. I like mine with a little tiny bit of bite to it still, so that can just bubble away. Now, if you're wondering about the chickpeas, of course the chickpeas were cooked this morning when I boiled them to rehydrate them, as it were. So they're cooked, so they don't need any more cooking. So what I'll do is I'll let this bubble for about 20 minutes, and then at the end, chuck the chickpeas in. I'll probably turn off the heat because these pots keep their, keep their heat. And then just let it sit for 5 or 10 minutes, and that will just be enough to warm through the chickpeas. So, bubble away, my pretty, and your smell is going to make me salivate while you do. I love one pot cooking, especially if it's something that's going to bubble on the stove for 20 minutes, 30 minutes or whatever, because now I can go off and do something else, you know, reply to a few emails, pay a few bills. Joy, yay! Right, I'll see you back here in 20 minutes. It's had its been about 23 minutes of bubbling. Oh, see, it's all thickened up as well, it's gorgeous. All I did was, I've hoiked a little bit of the butternut out to give it a bite, and I like it, so perfect. Right, in go the chickpeas. Oh, I can't wait to scoff. Oh my goodness. So at this stage, I'm just going to turn the heat off now. I'm going to pop the lid back on. It's just to warm the chickpeas through, like I said. You could also at this stage add some, coconut milk. That would be really, really lovely. In fact, I was just thinking about this now, because I have got a really, really massive butternut left, and I'm thinking I might do this again on Saturday night for the football World Cup final, because what's more perfect with football than a curry? And because it's for friends, yeah, I think I'll splash out and buy some coconut milk to put in right at the end. So I'm just going to leave it for 5 minutes now, let it all warm through those chickpeas, and then, yay, I can start scoffing. Ooh, best bit, what it's all about. So, I also happen to make some extra rice, because when I do my salad later, that will have rice in it too. Oh, can't wait to get my chops around this. Oh my giddy goodness. How scrummy does that look? Right, I'm going to get stuck in. It's only, hang on, where are you guys? It's only the morning. I did have breakfast a couple of hours ago, but can't resist. Gorgeosity. One more. Really hot. That is so simple. Guys, you've got to give it a go. It's so simple, it's so tasty. This is stored produce. This is harvest from last year and it tastes great still. You can do it, it can be done. Like I say, you probably, I'm guessing that most of you haven't got any squash left stored because you're probably not as stingy about eking out your food as I am. But if you like the look of this, have a go in the autumn when your squash comes through, because it really is lovely. And I know there's loads of you who are trying chickpeas this year for the first time. Not only are you trying them for the first time this year, but from the pictures you shared, you're doing way better with yours than I'm with mine. I've got chickpea jealousy from all of you. Anyway, never mind. Give it a go, it's gorgeous. If you do have some of the produce available stored from last year now, have a go. And maybe even, like I was saying, you know, if you've got a courgette here or, you know, bits and pieces, chuck them in as well. Main thing is, have a go, have fun in the kitchen, enjoy eating your beautiful veg that you've grown. You grew it, yay! Celebrate by turning it into a gorgeous, simple, nutritious meal and enjoy every single mouthful, which is what I'm going to do now with this. So I'm going to bid you all a cheery goodbye for now. I'll see you all again really soon, I hope, probably in the garden next time, because things are starting to finally grow. Take care everyone, I will see you all again really soon, I hope.